Hi there, this is Graham Nicholls from Affinity Gospel Churches in Partnership. It's the week ending Friday, 6th February 2026. Newspapers, news websites, and the news media have been dominated in the UK this week by stories around Peter Mandelson, his association with Jeffrey Epstein, the convicted paedophile, and Keir Starmer and his connection with that whole sad story. There is a whole political story about it. There's questions about Keir Starmer and people around him and their political judgment and their wisdom. There's questions about honesty and dishonesty. What did they know? Are they concealing anything? And so there's a whole story to run there. Two things that I think are worth considering as Christians. Number one is that our focus should not be on the political fallout from this, but on, is it possible, I don't know if it is, for there to be more justice for the victims of being trafficked or being manipulated, actually at whatever age these children and women were. So that should be our focus and emphasis, not on the careers of people and how that's being affected by it. I think the second thing is to lament really the lifestyle that is around the Jeffrey Epstein kind of way of living. So of course there was the particular criminal activity which we are especially sad about, but it seems to me that it was part of a bigger lifestyle that in many ways our media, our entertainment encourage and maybe even think that it's a good thing. So there's a lot for us to think about as a culture about that kind of free, so seemingly love culture and whether it's actually a good thing. There is no suggestion that there's anything criminal about being adulterous, being promiscuous, being in pursuit of just pleasure and wealth. And that's something else to lament, along with our concern for particular victims of criminal activity and manipulation and coercion. Another really sad story in the news away from this is the fact that there was a small village in Nigeria, in a place called Wovo, that was attacked in the last few days and 170 people killed. The attack seems to be by Muslim extremists who are operating in that area. And I think they asked that community to turn themselves over to Sharia law and they refused, and then the killing took place. It reminds us that there is persecution going on in Nigeria, some of that state sponsored or at least state accepted, but also by rogue gangs. And so across the world, the church is being persecuted, and we need to remember them in our prayers and where we're able to seek to advocate for them. Another story around this week has been the possibility of banning phones in schools and banning social media for those under 16. It raises some questions about phones in schools for adults as it happens, but particularly focusing on children, there probably is justification for at least thinking about a ban. I think there's demonstrable harms to social media in general and smartphones and their connection with that and other access to media that is not helpful and is probably harmful to enough children to make it something that the state gets involved in. But I think at the same time, we need to be very cautious about the state encroaching on what is basically parental responsibility. And whatever ban happens, we still need to think as parents, do we know what our children are accessing, what they're watching, how they're using any of the technology that they have? And that's a parental responsibility. And there is sometimes a bit of a creep where the state knows best is the kind of motto. And we as Christian parents particularly need to guard carefully and use carefully our responsibility and our opportunity to be a massive influence in our children's lives. Thanks for listening. God bless.